We are ready.
Okay, we're going. We have several things we're going live on for this interview. So okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome into Mornings with Loretta. And what an awesome morning it is. And let me tell you, I had this unique experience yesterday, and we'll talk about that more. But we have the director of part of that experience I want to talk about is Dean Israelite with us. And the movie is called Little Wing. It premieres on Paramount tomorrow. So Dean, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Okay, so you've had me doing some research, not only on you and the movie, but on pigeon racing. I had no idea. None of my friends had any idea. None of my staff. So tell us about pigeon racing, because it's not new, because you knew this was happening when you were younger.
Yeah, it's when John Gaines, the screenwriter, called me up about 6 years ago now and said, do I have any interest in reading a weird little script about pigeon racing? I said to him, he didn't know this, but my father and grandfather were some of the preeminent pigeon racers in Johannesburg, South Africa in the 50s and 60s. So I had a deep knowledge of sort of the sport, which is weird because it is this subculture really. And it's a sport where you raise pigeons to race and pigeons are always going to race back to the home that they're raised in. And so you raise your pigeons, and, pigeon fanciers take incredible care of their pigeons and love their pigeons. I hope when people watch this movie, they come away having a deep appreciation for these incredible birds. And you end up driving them with your club. You're usually part of a pigeon racing club, and you end up putting them in a big truck and driving them miles and miles and miles away, sometimes hundreds of miles away, and releasing them, and the pigeons fly home, and you time them, and you see who wins.
Wow. So I have a ton of questions about that, but I really want to talk about, so you mentioned your enthusiasm when you were presented the script by John. So what is it, other than the pigeon racing, about the Little Wing storyline that captivated you? Because it's an amazing story. Yeah. It has so many elements that we need to be reminded of, and just some tools that we can use in our everyday lives that's going to help us. So what was it for you that captivated you?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because pigeons and the pigeon racing is really a metaphor in the movie for everything that the humans in this film are going through, and really is a human story about this 13-year-old girl and her relationship with this other character played by Brian Cox. And to me, what I loved about the script is that everyone in this film is in a state of crisis. Everyone in this movie, in one way or another, either literally or figuratively, are dying. And they end up pushing through their respective crises and sort of coming to the other side of it and finding liberation, I think, from it. And the birds become a metaphor for that. When pigeons are released from a race, like I was telling you, from that truck, they're done so by someone called a liberator. That's his role. He liberates the pigeons from that truck. Mm-hmm. And I just loved all of that, the themes and the metaphors of that, of being able to kind of push through to the other side of crisis. And I think, I came onto the movie before COVID, and before these last few years that I think have been very challenging for everybody in a myriad of different ways. And just the world just seems so much more challenging today than it was 6 years ago. And I think as, time went by and we were trying to get this movie made, I just felt like the movie became more and more relevant, because I just feel like we all just have a sense that we're on sort of a knife's edge, that we're one moment away from a crisis. And what I loved about this movie is that I think it's life-affirming by the end. I think it feels like, okay, I've seen these characters go through some stuff, and I've seen them being able to push through to the other side of that.
Yes, I just want to let the audience know why you're so fabulous and why it sounds like you know what you're talking about, because you are a 2-time Emmy Award nominee and a 3-time DGA nominee, director and producer. And I was telling my sons, who are young adults now, that you were going to be on the show, and I told them about Power Rangers. So they're also going to watch this interview because they love Power Rangers. They want to see the man behind that amazing phenomenon. So thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
No, thank you. I'm glad they're fans of that movie.
I don't know who isn't. Everybody is. So Little Wing explores deep themes such as you mentioned before, like belonging, the impact of divorce, mental health struggles among teens. So how do you navigate these heavy themes and context of a story about pigeon racing? You mentioned that because pigeons will go back home, right? No matter how far they go, hundreds of miles, 1,000 miles, they're going to come back home. And so it just gave me hope that in relationships and business deals where there seems to be no hope, if you just hang in there and get back to what got you there, right? The happy stuff that got you there, you can get back home. So is that kind of relevant for you too? Do you see that same theme throughout the movie?
Yes, absolutely. I think to me, the pigeons definitely represent the sort of longing for home. And I think the movie sort of poses the question of like, what does that mean? What does that mean to the characters? What does that mean to you as the viewer? How do you define that? And for sure, how do you get back to that? And I think sort of without that, I think we all feel lost with whatever that sense of belonging is, whatever that sense of home is. I think belonging in a family, but I think also sort of belonging and understanding yourself. So that's definitely a massive part of the film and its themes and how the pigeons relate to the character's journey.
Absolutely. So every film project, of course, comes with its set of challenges and rewards. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced while bringing Little Wing to life, and what have been the most rewarding aspects of the journey?
I think I think actually the hardest part of this movie was making sure that it stayed intimate, that you felt like the movie wasn't preachy at all, wasn't overly sentimental or saccharine, and felt like, yes, this is an entertaining film that, as you say, digs into some real stuff. And how do you balance that tone where the audience feels respected in watching that film? And it doesn't feel like the overly Hollywoodized version of all of that. And I think kind of managing that tone was one of the biggest challenges. And then one of the biggest rewards is, when people like you or people see the movie and say, like, when audiences come and say, like, I really appreciate that this movie went to those places, but ultimately wasn't a dark version of that by the end, and, so people really sort of resonate with the fact that we go to some places in this film.
Absolutely. And the cast and the crew, Caitlin, I mean, that's who she is. She had a very deep side of her and she hid it. And I think it's a lesson for parents and teachers and counselors. Just because a child is showing up every day does not mean they're okay, especially if you know they've gone through something as traumatic as a divorce in a family or losing a loved one. If there are a ton of things that teens and younger children are going through, but they show up and we think they're okay because we're trying to manage the newness of our normal. So I like how you didn't overlook that. You really got in there and said she's not okay. She's reacting in ways that's not normal, but everybody's so busy, nobody is noticing her. But the guy that she stole the pigeon from became her savior, and I can't think of a better word than that. And then she became his. So how was casting for that? She was like perfect, and so was Adam in the movie.
Yeah, Brooklyn Prince. It's we saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people for this movie in terms of the kid roles, and I went to the Cocaine Bear premiere and I saw Brooklyn, and I obviously knew her work and knew her from the Florida Project, but she was 6 when she was in the Florida Project. She turned 13 on our movie, and so it's hard to know, does a kid who's an actor at 6, are they still that enchanting when they're 12 and 13? Because they're just such different people by that point. And I saw a Cocaine Man, which is obviously a completely different film, but she sort of lit the screen up. And I said, you know, she needs to come in and audition for this movie, and she did, and she completely blew us away. And we were late into the audition process at that point, and then we had a few sort of other front runners, and I was like, you know, I might be leaning towards some other people, but she just came in and totally blew everybody away. And herself, I think, has a deep connection to some of these struggles that the character is going through. I don't want to speak for her, but she talks about how it was an important movie for her because she's dealt with some of these feelings. And it was important for her to do exactly what you just said, which is, you know, show that young people are going through a lot. And they're going through a lot now. And I think it's finally coming onto as sort of the adult community's radar. And I think she was very passionate about being able to bring that to the screen.
And it showed up. I mean, there are a ton of awards I think this movie should get just on her acting and the script, the storyline. I know you have to go. Oh my goodness, I had another question, but I just want to thank you for being our guest, Dean. And I hope you will come back. And I'm telling everybody about this movie. I want them to show it in schools. I want them to show it in church groups. I want it shown everywhere because I really, really believe that the message in here is so profoundly done by the cast and the crew and your directing that it can definitely add hope in places that there's been nothing but darkness. So thank you, Dean, so much for your amazing work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So Dean has to leave because the movie is premiering tomorrow on Paramount Plus. You have got to see this movie. And like I said, I had an idea about what it was about because the marketing team, the comms team, they've done a phenomenal job on messaging, right? But when you see it and you're drawn into this family's life and you're thinking, wow, I see that maybe it's not a divorce in your family, that your family was has a new normal. Maybe it was death. Maybe it was a lost job, but whatever it is, this movie goes with that family and is not sugarcoating the pain that they felt, the questioning, the what could have, should have done. And there were two kids. Caitlin has an older brother too, who just stopped talking, stopped communicating. And had it not been for this pigeon being in this film and that storyline about pigeon racing, which you should research, it is it's intriguing. It is intriguing. I have a new profound love for pigeons, a different feeling about pigeons now that I watched that movie that I didn't have previously. So I just want you to go watch the movie and then share your feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm going to add the trailer on my Facebook page because I have this, I can. So anyway, go check out the movie tomorrow. Share your feedback with me, the director, on the movie's social media. Let us know because I would love to see more movies like this. True, honestly, I would love to see more storylines of real life, real people, the deep dark side of it. Because a lot of things were done. They were doing the wrong thing for the right reason, if that's a thing. And it is. You think it's not, but it really is. So check out Little Wing starting on Paramount Plus March 13th. In closing, think positive, dream big dreams, help someone along the way. And guess what? I'll see you soon, everybody.